Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats and welcome to the 2018 Conference of Champions.
Welcome. It's so awesome to see all of you. I'm just thrilled to be able to welcome you to the 2018 Conference of Champions. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Lori Stewart, and I am honored and humbled to be able to MC this event for you. In my day job, I'm a banker, but I wanted to share just a little bit of my journey with the Arthritis Foundation. I actually got engaged with the Arthritis Foundation when I was 55 and a fairly new widow, and decided I needed to make some changes in my life. So I joined a Joints in Motion team. And I want to tell you that up until that moment in time, I'd spent my entire life figuring out how not to run, okay? 55 years of how not to run. And that changed almost overnight when I joined that team, and ultimately I was able to run a marathon. I hurt my back, I couldn't do it again, but I will always count it as a huge milestone in my life and an opportunity to become affiliated with a wonderful organization. So that's a little bit about me. Please enjoy your lunch, don't stop eating as we begin. Throughout the conference, I am encouraging you to use your cell phone. Now, I didn't bring my cell phone up here just to be a prop for the app, but also because I wanted to take a picture of all of you and tweet it after lunch. So use your cell phone and the conference app. It has everything you need for the next couple of days, including our schedule of events, the speaker bios, and even on that app you will find a running trail map located in the conference section in case you'd like to take a run or a walk along the inner harbor of Baltimore. And then don't forget to share your favorite moments throughout the conference on social media with the hashtag #WeLiveYes. So before we jump right into the opening session, let's celebrate this year's generous sponsors. Our presenting sponsor, Lilly, as well as AbbVie, Bristol Myers Squibb, Janssen, Mallinckrodt, Novartis, Pfizer, Sanofi. Let me get this all together in one. It's one name and it's a mouthful. Sanofi Genzyme Regeneron. Boy, that's a mouthful. Please, thank you to all of them. These generous sponsors make the conference possible and support the volunteers who go above and beyond for the arthritis community. So our thanks go out to all of you. Our hope is that this year's Conference of Champions will not only inspire as we fight against arthritis together, but also provide some practical tools for you to use in your marketplace. Over the next 2 days, we'll hear from some dynamic speakers and special guests. And we'll also hear from volunteers just like you, who are in the trenches every day serving the arthritis community. I encourage you to network with each other over the next 2 days. This is a great opportunity to share ideas, not just from up here to out there, but from one another at your tables. We have two special people that want to give you their words of welcome this morning. So let me welcome to the stage Dr. Stuart Levine, Baltimore Leadership Board Medical Chair, President and Chief Medical Officer at MedStar Harbor Hospital, and Senior Vice President at MedStar Health, as well as our Arthritis Foundation Board of Director Chair, Bing Chang. Will you please come to the stage?
Lori, thanks so much for that wonderful introduction. Before I start my remarks, some of you at the tables in the front know today is my 21st wedding anniversary, and I want to start by publicly wishing my beautiful and wonderful wife, Amanda, happy anniversary. Thank you for being here. So I am delighted to welcome you to Baltimore for the 2018 Conference of Champions. It's really exciting to see all of you here today. And it's incredible to think about how many of you have traveled from so far away to be here for this incredible week, to learn about the great work that's being done at the Arthritis Foundation, what it's doing to improve the lives of those affected by arthritis, and yes, to network, to tweet, to have some fun, and to live yes. I started my career in rheumatology right here in Baltimore as a fellow just up the street at Hopkins in 2001. And I've had the privilege of caring for patients with arthritis and related conditions every day since then. I've seen firsthand the struggles that patients with rheumatic diseases face each day, but I've also had a great front row seat to the incredible scientific advances that have occurred over this time as well. Our doctor's bag is overflowing with therapeutic options to treat our patients, from ever-expanding classes of biologic disease-modifying agents to advances in surgical techniques to advances in rehabilitation. And yet, as everyone in this room knows, until the day comes when the pain and disability that arthritis causes are gone forever, much work still remains to be done. The Arthritis Foundation's four-pillar focus of scientific discovery, help and support, advocacy and access, and juvenile arthritis supports its mission to pursue a cure for and champion the fight against America's #1 leading cause of disability. We know that patients who engage with the Arthritis Foundation are more likely to have better outcomes with the care that they receive. And I am proud to be a member of our local leadership board and to chair its medical committee and to help support this incredible organization and its wonderful mission. So welcome to Baltimore. We're the home of Fort McHenry and the Star-Spangled Banner, of Edgar Allan Poe and Babe Ruth. We're known as a city of firsts. It's true, look it up. We're the site of the first stagecoach route in the U.S., the first post office system, the first Sunday newspaper, electric refrigerator, oyster canner, telegraph, electric elevator, and yes, we introduced both the Ouija board and duck pin bowling to the world. So during your time in our great town, take in all that it has to offer. We have world-class museums, a great aquarium, a science center, tons of great restaurants and eclectic neighborhoods to explore, from Hamden to Canton to Fells Point to Harbor East and beyond. And to take a bit of flavor of that Baltimore flavor home with you at your tables is a gift, courtesy of our great friends at McCormick Spice. Little Old Bay seasoning for you. It's truly the taste of Maryland. It's hard to imagine crabs or potato chips tasting better without it. We hope that this small gift will remind you of your time in our beautiful city and of all the great and encouraging things that you will hear over the next few days. Welcome to Baltimore, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Stuart. Well, I'm Bing Chang, and as Lori said, I'm the board chair for at least the next day and a half of the National Board of Directors. Some of you may not know me either. I'm actually from a family with ankylosing spondylitis. My uncle had classic bamboo spine and had terrible daily bouts of chronic pain in his low back. That was what we remember him as. And my mother had disabling arthritis of her hands and recurring inflammation of her eyes, a condition known as iritis that's associated with this disease. And even myself, when I was growing up in college, I was beset by chronic low back pain, which prohibited me from sleeping in. And I actually have that problem even today. But now I'm a rheumatologist and an epidemiologist at Northwestern, and have seen, as Stuart says, a lot of real important advances over the course of time. And I've been a longstanding Arthritis Foundation volunteer as well. So we're here, and I want to welcome everybody again to the Conference of Champions. We're here to celebrate the accomplishments of 2018, and what a year it's been. As we all know, on the advocacy front, we're really kind of the crown jewel of volunteer health agencies when it comes to advocacy and access. Since our state program has been instituted in 2014, we've actually earned 100 state victories in 47 states and the District of Columbia, which is really a great thing. Let's celebrate that. On the help and support and juvenile arthritis front, we continue to fundraise and actually invested $4 million in donor contributions to support juvenile arthritis camps, including travel awards. And since 1984, when this conference began, we've brought 30,000 participants together for our national juvenile arthritis conferences, both of which I attended this summer. So let's celebrate our accomplishments on that end. And then on the scientific front, we've really made significant headway toward a cure. So there are many things that I could talk about. I'm just going to talk about two. We've catalyzed potential new treatments, such as an experimental anti-arthritis vaccine and new cartilage growth factors. And then, this is really exciting, I think, the Arthritis Foundation is cultivating a new generation of rheumatologists by awarding $150,000 per site for new clinical rheumatology fellowships at 5 institutions as part of the Be the One Major Gifts campaign, and we hope to sustain that and actually grow that going forward. Now, let me just tell you what this means. These are new rheumatology slots, both adult and pediatrics, and hopefully the idea here is to grow the supply of rheumatologists going forward, which is sorely needed. Obviously been sorely needed in the juvenile arthritis realm for many years, but is rapidly becoming an issue in the adult realm as well. So let's celebrate that major new accomplishment. But I think the most important achievement this year is the planning and the pilot testing of our Live Yes network, which is obviously one of the major topics of discussion today. So the goal of the network is to make connections both in person and online to empower people to live their best life. You'll be hearing these statistics and these terms throughout the conference. We have more than 20 million information seekers that come to our web, basically, or hear about the Arthritis Foundation, right? It turns out about 1.3 million of these 20 million, right, became participants who subscribed to emails, attended events, or donated, right? And then of these 1.3 million, 1,643 of you chose to get involved as a group leader, advocate, or board member. And the goal of the Live Yes network activities is to grow all of those numbers, okay? So since the beginning of the year, we have debuted new ways for community members to find support from each other. We've created a new online community that includes 7 forums. You'll be hearing more about those. We are welcoming those with arthritis locally through our Live Yes events. If you haven't heard, our Live Yes patient-reported outcome program survey is up and running. By asking arthritis patients how they feel on a regular basis, we will get a more accurate picture of how the disease is progressing, how treatments are working, and how symptoms like depression and sleep disturbance impact us. This is a critical part of patient engagement and will ultimately help shape the future treatment of arthritis and will help shape the support you will provide locally. So, we've accomplished much together this year. I look forward to the progress we will make here to prepare our markets to be fully ready to engage people who come through the network. Thanks so much for coming, and I hope you have a joyous and meaningful Conference of Champions.
Well, thank you, Dr. Levine and Bing, so much for welcoming us. That was hard to say. Our President and CEO, Ann Palmer, sends her welcome, Ann's right over here, to you as well, and she invites you to stay to the very, very end of the conference, because she's going to bring everything you're going to hear over the next 2 days together. You won't want to miss this closing session. At this time, we have the great privilege of hearing from Rob Wicall. Rob serves as the San Antonio Leadership Board Chair. He is a TED Talk speaker, a former Spurs Coyote Mascot. Ooh, how cool is that? He's going to share with us the importance of creating connections. Please join me in welcoming Rob to the stage. Rob.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about that. Are you awake now? Okay, good. That was my hope. I said good afternoon. All right. Was the lunch good? I was pretty impressed. I liked it. It was pretty delicious. So yes, my name is Rob Wicall. I'm the San Antonio board chair. I'm also an arthritis sufferer. I have ankylosing spondylitis. But also, I was an NBA mascot for about 20 years. Before that, by the way, I've got slides. I've got slides. They're slides, I promise. Hey, no. So anyway, I was going to show you a picture of the mascot who I was. The Spurs Coyote. Do we have any NBA fans out here? You got some? All right. Hey, there he is. Thank you. So in the NBA, I was this furry guy, a coyote for the San Antonio Spurs, during a really cool time to be an employee for the San Antonio Spurs, 2000 to 2016, basically Tim Duncan's career. So there was a lot of winning going on. It was a lot of fun. Before I was a mascot, though, I water skied out at SeaWorld of Texas. So I say that only to say that basically I lived with pain, right? I was physically active my entire life. I wasn't diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis until my 40s. And the only reason that happened was because I had arthritis and had an eye doctor say, hey, you might want to get a blood test. I had just lived with pain and never knew. And I don't regret that. You know, obviously, I live with more pain now, and I'm going to pay consequences for that. But I also had a really cool career that I might not have pursued if I knew, you know, my arthritis situation. And through that career, I came up with this, what I call my philosophy on life. Life lessons I learned from wearing fur for a living. I call it my philosophy on life. Thank you. Enjoy the veal. Okay, so my philosophy is sort of these life lessons, and I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to just go through a couple of them for you. Is that okay? You guys, come on. Is that okay? All right, cool. Thank you. I was going to do it whether you said no or yes anyway. So philosophy number one, real simple. Making others happy makes you happy. We all know that, right? But do we always do that? I'm going to tell you a little story. So my job, first of all, it was physical, but my job was to make other people happy. My job was to make moments, to make connections for people, right? To make a memory. Think about your lives, right? I can remember where I was when I learned how to ride a bike. I can remember my dad pushing me down the front sidewalk. Memories are what guide our lives. Those memories are what we live with, right? So those memories is what my job was to create for people. So here's a quick story. Preseason, it was, I think 2014 or so. Preseason game, it's midway through the third quarter. And I'm working the crowd behind the Spurs end of the court, behind the basket on the Spurs end of the court. So the Spurs bench is sort of off to my left. I'm behind that basket working midway through the third quarter, and I hear, Tim. And I look over, it's about an 8-year-old girl. She's maybe 12 rows up in that corner aisle by the Spurs bench, and she's trying to get Tim Duncan's attention, who's sitting on the bench. Well, I know Tim is never going to look over and wave to her, right? He can't. But nonetheless, she continues. Now, some people around her start to get into the action. You know, some fans like, hey, Timmy, hey, trying to help her out, right? Poor little girl. Well, I see an opportunity to help. So, make my way through the crowd. I get over to the little girl. I pick her up. Now I start to wave like I'm trying to get Tim's attention, which I know nothing's going to happen, right? Then I get the crowd around to get involved. So I start with like, 1, 2, 3, Tim! And the whole crowd starts yelling, Tim! Look at the clock. It's getting close to the end of the third quarter. Still holding the girl. I make my way back through the crowd. I get behind that basket, and the horn sounds. That's the horn for the third quarter. Sort of sounds like a duck, but my duck sounds like a quack. This is see the difference? All right, sorry, I don't know. Third quarter ends. I beeline for Tim Duncan, which I'm not supposed to do, right? I'm not supposed to take a fan onto the court to meet a player, and especially not Tim Duncan. But here we are. So I get up to Tim, holding this girl, and I motion sort of like, hey, give her a high five, right? She puts her arms out for a hug. So, fortunately, Tim's a great guy. He reaches down, he hugs her, he talks with her a little bit. They have that moment. I step away, and I turn towards that corner of the arena that had been watching this whole thing go on during a game, by the way, right? Nobody even knows there's a game at this point. They're watching this thing, third quarter break, step away, thank Tim, turn towards that corner, holding this girl, and thrust my fist in the air in victory. And they erupt in cheers. But the question is, why? Why are they cheering? It's not their kid. They got no skin in the game. Because making other people happy makes you happy. They got to come along with me as I made a little girl happy, and that made them happy. Making others happy makes you happy. It's a truth. And I got good news for you. You don't, oh, by the way, wait, I got photos too. This is a little girl. There happened to be some media member there who took photos and then ended up writing an article about it, this little moment after. So there's a little girl, and there she is with Tim Duncan. Pretty cool. So back to, here's the cool part. You don't have to be a coyote and have a court to make other people happy. We can do it every day in our lives, right? It's simple. It's just not always easy. Here's how I did it as Coyote. First of all, I was present in the moment. I saw an opportunity to help somebody, and I chose to do it. That was my job. Second was when I saw that opportunity, I never let it pass, right? I seized all those opportunities. And third was I just maximized the impact. I could have gone and gotten that girl. She could have met Tim Duncan. Cool moment. But I chose to make that entire corner of the arena get to experience the happiness that I was going to give that girl, because I knew they would love it, right? Be present. By the way, isn't that important in life? Isn't it easy to not be present anymore? Physically there, but not mentally. When you're talking with somebody, you want to make a connection to somebody, you want to make a moment, a memory, just look them in the eye and really listen and respond earnestly and authentically. So, next philosophy lesson, teamwork makes the dream work. And I could talk about teamwork with what I did because, hey, just like I'm on stage right now, right? I'm all by myself, but it takes a team to make this happen. There's a sound person, there's the video people, right? There's the people who scripted this and created this entire conference. It takes a team to make this happen. Just like Coyote and what I did, it took a team. But what I'm going to talk about today, real quick, is Gregg Popovich, the coach of the San Antonio Spurs. In the sports world especially, the Spurs, because of their success, is sort of, there's this phrase of the Spurs way. Like, what is the Spurs way? How did they do it? How were they successful for so many years? I got the answer. You want it? No? Okay, that's cool. Thank you, everybody. Seriously, you want the answer to the Spurs way that everybody wants to know? It's really simple. It's this, it's that quote that's up there. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Take a second. Read that quote. That quote is Gregg Popovich's mantra. What it means to him is this. For them, it's getting into the basketball gym. It's playing basketball. Every day, when you get in there, you do your best. Every day. And today, you might not see results. And tomorrow, you might not see results. And a month from now, you might not see results. But every day, you get in and you work to the best of your ability as a team, and you will see the result, which for them was winning basketball games. right? For us, every day, we do our best. We make moments. We make memories. We advocate for the Arthritis Foundation. Every day, do our best. And one day, we're going to see those results, right? It's going to happen if you just keep at it day after day. We will change lives. We already are. We will find a cure for arthritis as long as we continue every day to do our best. Gregg Popovich calls it pounding the rock. So he tells his team, every day you pound that rock, right? You hit it. You hit it and you hit it, and you might not see results until the 100th hit or 101st blow. But you will see results if you continue to go at it every day. That's how Gregg Popovich gets millionaires with egos to work in his system. That's how he gets teams to be, this team to be the most successful team in the history of sports over the last 20 years by that mantra. He's taken that quote and translated it into every language that a Spurs player speaks and framed it and put it in the locker room. So it's all over the locker room, this quote, in all those different languages. He has a vineyard. He's a wine guy. The name of the wine that he produces is Rock and Hammer. I don't know how many I know this sounds very egotistic. I don't know how many championship rings it's on because I have 4 of them, but I know 2 of them. On the actual championship ring is a rock with a hammer hitting it and the rock splitting. The last one, 2014, that I was a part of, there were 5, because there were 5 championships the Spurs had won, there were 5 pieces of rock flying off of the rock when the hammer hit it, each one representing a championship. Pretty cool. It's a big deal to Gregg Popovich. It's a big deal to the Spurs, and that is the Spurs way. But it translates to us, doesn't it? Right? We get in, we do our best every day, and we will change lives. By the way, when you do it as a team, as a group, what we've got here, it could be so much more than you could ever imagine, that impact that you can have on people's lives. So one more quick story before I get out of here. So when I was the mascot, the Coyote, I used to go to the local children's hospital a couple times a year at least. So the children's hospital, terminally ill kids, right? It's bad news. And I would show up, and they'd have them all in one big room, and I'd work the room, say hi to all these kids. Then the lady who ran the hospital would always say, "Hey, Stinky," because that's what she called me. "Hey, Stinky, come with me." And we'd go upstairs to the ICU. So we'd see terminally ill kids who are so sick that they can't come out of this room, right? They're stuck. They can't even come down to the party. And they're in those small little rooms with a sliding glass door, right, that's barely bigger than the bed, and the family's all gathered around. You got to wash your hands, and you're supposed to wear a mask to get in. And I'd go in, and I'd visit, and we'd stop and say, "Is it okay if we come in," right? And I'd go see as many of those kids as I could. And it was always, you're not trying to be funny there. You're just trying to loosen the load there, right? Lighten up the feeling in that room for just a few minutes. Let them forget the situation that they're in. And so this one time I go in, slide glass door, close it, and it's families gathered all around, crowded, and I say hi to the family in mascot way, right? Hug and high five and hey, 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 hey. Then go to the girl who's on the bed. She's about 3 years old. She's got tubes in her, wires. And I hug her, and I mess with her a little bit, right? And as I'm leaving, I'm just there for a couple minutes, and I'm leaving, and I'm backing out, and I'm waving and blowing kisses. And she says in the little faint voice that you would expect a 3-year-old who's terminally ill and in an ICU unit to have, she says, "Bye-bye." Oh, I wave bye, blow kisses, sliding glass door, and I head down the hall to go to the next kid. And as I'm walking, I feel these arms around my waist. And I turn around. It's the grandma of that little 3-year-old girl. She's yay big, little bitty thing. And she looks at me and she says, "We haven't heard that girl's voice in 2 weeks. Thank you." ugh, I hug her. And you know when you hug somebody or you hug somebody, like I want her to know I mean it. And I hug her and she's crying on my chest. And I'm bawling in that costume. And I realize they may never hear her voice again. I just changed the life of a family, right? I positively impacted these lives. A guy wearing a fake fur costume just changed the lives of a family. And if I could do that, how much more can all of us together do that? How much more power do we all have in this room to change lives? All we have to do is go at it every day. Make memories for people, right? Make memories, make connections, and change lives. If we all do it together, you know how much we can do? More than we could ever imagine. Thank you.
Wow, how wonderful was that? Thank you, Rob. That was just so inspiring. We're going to take a really short break here so that some of the things on your tables can be cleared and have a little bit of coffee and just a minute to get organized for the next session. What I'd like you to consider now, while we're clearing and taking this short break, is to share around your tables how you've been able to implement some of these concepts that Rob talked about in your life, or how you'd like to implement some of this really inspiring message and thinking about teamwork and dream work and changing people's lives. So take a few minutes to do that as we clear. When we return, we'll share how these concepts will come to life through our Live Yes Arthritis Network. We'll be right back.